I'm going to ask you what may be the dumbest question you feel like you've ever been asked. Take a quick look at this library here, right? This is just a personal library, nothing to brag about for the most part. Coupled sides right over there. We got something over here. But what if I were to ask you a question? Let's just take a book, Icons of Evolution. How would you interpret this book? Well, you would just say, well, I just read the book, right? But is it really that easy? Do you just read a book? For instance, what if I were to say, all right, well, how do you interpret this book here, Philosophy of Mind? How do you interpret that? Again, you would say, oh, well, you just read the book, right? But wait a minute. What if I were to come over here to this section of the library, go down an instant, and I were to say, how do you interpret this book? You'd say, well, just read the book again. Well, wait a minute, though. That's a book on poetry. Do you interpret poetry literally? So if I say my love for you extends to the deepest depths of the sea, does my love literally go into the water? Well, you would say, well, no, that's not what you mean by that. Of course, that's supposed to be a poetic language. That's a metaphor or a simile. So wait, you're saying that when we read books, we can't just simply read the book. You're saying that we have to take into account figures of speech. We have to take into account poetic language. We have to take into account, hey, you get the point, right? You can't just simply read a book. You have to know what you're reading, and you have to know what the purpose of that book is. Is that book to teach you navigational skills in terms of reading an atlas? Is that book supposed to enlighten you in relation to what it means to talk about love? Say again, poetry. What's the point of the book? What kind of book is it? So when we talk about reading the Bible, really, are we talking about reading a book? No. Well, yeah, we are. The Bible's a book. No, that's not. The Bible's 66 books, right? Composed by different authors, different times, different places, different cultures, different contexts. And of course, not to mention the books themselves, some are poetry, right? The book of Psalms contains poetry, right? Some of the books are narrative. For instance, the Gospels, they're telling you what happened in someone's life, namely that of Jesus, right? It's a biographical narrative to some extent. Or think about this. You might be reading the book of Revelation, or parts of Daniel. That's what we call apocalyptic literature. How do you interpret that? Is that literal? Is that poetry? Is it both? Right? Are some parts literal, or some parts supposed to be poetic? How do we interpret these things, right? Those are the questions that we're going to be asking, and not just asking, but hopefully answering as we go through this course on biblical interpretation. That is to say, how do we interpret the Bible, right? Because here's the question: if the Bible is true, if the Bible is actually true, shouldn't we know how to interpret it? Let's dive in.